Hi guys, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. I am so happy to be back with you guys. We are going to be exploring BookTube. Today I'm actually going to be talking about the books that I'm currently reading. I'm actually reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because I used to read one book at a time and then I would come through like a chapter that I was like, oh, I'm so bored. I would just like push through. I'm like, just finish the book, just finish the book. And then I was like, why do I need to do that? I don't need to do that. I'm like really dying to read all of these books at once, which is what I'm doing. And I'm still able to finish the books. So before I get started, I do want to take a second or a few seconds to acknowledge two beautiful ladies. One lovely lady lives all the way in Saudi Arabia. Did I say that right? And then another one lives in California. I got two handwritten letters just yesterday in the mail in my P.O. box right here, this beautiful note. Ironically, these two letters were inspired by the video that I did about how reading changed my life, how books and reading changed my life. So I feel like that video really resonated with a lot of people, which makes me so happy to see more people excited about reading and expanding their awareness. Makes me absolutely happy. And I want to say thank you so much, Leslie and Shahida or Shahida. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I want to say thank you because you guys took the time to find a beautiful note card and a piece of paper and actually write down with your energy, physically write down a letter. That takes a lot of energy. Not only to do that and to put your thoughts into paper, but also to be like, hey, I'm actually going to write a letter to Dulce. I really want to tell her what I feel. And wow, like that means so much to me. I don't even really have the right words to say, but thank you. It makes me feel so special. And also to find an envelope, to find a stamp, to put it in the mailbox, and to ship it. This is like a whole energy exchange, and I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, Shahida and Leslie, for writing me these beautiful letters. They mean a lot to me. I've always been the type of person that writes letters to her friends. This is old school connection with humans that I absolutely love and appreciate. So I wanted to say thank you. And I also wanted to give a shout out to my girl Jessica because she's absolutely amazing it and killing it with Raggedy Tiff. This is another one of her shirts. This is with the corazon and the evil eye, I believe. This is my perception. It's a beautiful t-shirt that I absolutely love. So if you guys are interested in her clothing collection, make sure to check the description box. And I just gotta give my girl a shout out because she is thebomb.com, and she wrote this beautiful message on her Instagram about me. And wow. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel like the more that I'm living my purpose and everything, I'm finding that I am not as alone as I thought I was going to be, because when I took the leap to do what I'm doing now, I felt pretty excluded. I felt like I didn't belong because I definitely do not belong to the beauty community anymore, and I felt that for a really long time. But it's kind of scary stepping out and finding that there's a whole entire new community of people that actually resonate with the message that you're sending, and you resonate with theirs and their hard work and their positivity and the thoughts and all of these different things. I am definitely finding my tribe, and I'm finding it with you guys as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being a part of it. We are definitely getting closer, I feel, and the comment section after the video is the most important part because that is where the conversation begins. Because right now, I'm just sitting here by myself and I'm just talking, but I'm not getting any feedback right now, and I need the feedback. So anyways, let's jump right into book number 1. Okay, so this is something that I'm currently reading right now, A Course in Miracles. There is really no author to this book. And this is the one that I spoke about in my last vlog, where I talked about my little gizmo. I don't want to get into in today's video about what happened to Gizmo, but I will in another vlog separately. It's just that that's so much, and I got into it initially in this video. I'm like refilming this, and my energy just went down to the floor because I started crying and all this stuff. In that video, I spoke about this book, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. She is actually running for president in 2020, guys. Check out her interviews. pretty amazing. I love her. She wrote this book as reflections of A Course in Miracles. This is a self-study program, guys. It's huge, as you can see. This is 3 volumes all in one book, which is why it's pretty thick. You have actual textbook in here, and then you have a workbook for students, and then you have a manual for teachers who are teaching these teachings. There is a lot of Christian terminology within this book, and even the way that it's written, the style of the paper, it's the same style of paper from the Bible. It's written in almost the same format as the Bible, and there is a lot of references to Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness. There's also a lot of restatement of core values and wisdom from other religions. But this book within itself is not a religion. It's more of spiritual teachings. They're just looking at the teachings of religions and the values and the wisdom, like I mentioned, and just restating them a little bit differently, which is easier for me to understand, to be honest with you. This book does recommend that you take your time with it. I have all of these little post-its and highlights and markings with marker, and even some words in here that I've never heard in my life. I write them and I highlight them, and then I look for the definitions, so the vocabulary is expanding, girl. Okay, so I just kind of want to say, I want to talk so much about this book. This is so incredible. I highly recommend this book, guys. Miracles is also another way of saying that you have a paradigm shift again. So this goes back all the way to my first video about books and how reading changed my life, because I express so much how passionate I am about having paradigm shifts. And somehow I stumbled across this book, guys. I wasn't even looking for like anything related to paradigm shifts, but basically A Course in Miracles. A miracle is when you see the world in a different way and you're like, I can't believe I never saw life this way. And it's a subtle little change that happens within you, but these subtle little changes are the ones that have grand impact in your life. It's these subtle little changes, right? So for me, guys, I want to share one with you. I actually went all the way to the back because I was just curious when I first bought the book about, like, you know, the substance of the book and how it's sectioned off and the lessons and all that stuff. And then I remember there's even prayers here in the back, which is pretty incredible also. I wrote in this page, there's like a blank page in here, and it says, I'm always trying to do everything on my own. Always, right? I'm always trying to do everything on my own. Let God take over. Let Him guide your life. Surrender. How many times have you heard the story of Oprah talking about surrender? It's a beautiful story. Surrendering to me means letting go of trying to change so many things that are happening that I can't control. Letting God handle everything and me just sitting here and accepting my life for what it is, loving it, being grateful for it, and working every day on becoming a more complete and whole version of myself. This is what surrender means, letting God have full control. All I have to do is be grateful for the way my life is now because God is in control. I have nothing to worry about, absolutely nothing. You have nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing. And when you do that, life just starts to flow a little bit more smoothly because you're flowing with the current. You're not swimming against the current. You're just going with it. You're like, okay, I accept this. I accept this too. You know what I mean? So it's different. That's a miracle. That's a miracle, seeing that in a different way. And there's so many of those beautiful moments that I've been having with the readings and the teachings of this book also, guys. Oh my gosh, this was a major breakthrough also. Page 20, if you have this book, the attunement is the device by which you can free yourself from the past as you go ahead. And I wrote on this little note, I wrote, major breakthrough. As I evolve, what I am doing is returning to my original, perfect, God-made self. Wow. Not a better me, but the original me. Not a better me. I am not striving to become a better Dulce. What I'm doing is going back to who I originally was before I was conditioned by society and the experiences that I have had in this planet. So it's again, unlearning all of that and going back to my true, authentic self and becoming more of me, not becoming a better me. You don't need to be a better you because you are already whole and complete. And when we feel like we need to become better, it only implies that we are not good enough as we are. But we are. We already are. That's pretty incredible, and I'm currently reading those two. Those are at the top of my list. So I guess we can start off with The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Norman was an American minister, and he brought a Christian approach to the psychology of positive thinking, of positive thoughts, and how they can change your life. He has this wonderful quote that I have here. It says, "Your world is nothing more than the thoughts that you have about your experience." Have you ever noticed that, for example, you could be right here filming a video. Let's take me for example. I could be here sitting with you, and I'm sitting here in this chair, on this desk, speaking to a camera, speaking to you essentially about positive thinking, about all the books that I'm reading, and that's a reality. But then I could also go back into my mind and start thinking all of these negative thoughts, whatever they might be, whether positive or negative, that if you are in here, that is the world that you are experiencing. I found from my own personal experience, the life that I've had in my 20s, I had a huge problem with my thinking. It was, in fact, a negative habitual thinking pattern that I had. And I didn't know how to change my negative thoughts. And I actually came to a point where I accepted my negative habitual thinking for a part of me. And I thought, well, that's just how I think. No, okay? And I was pretty miserable in my mind. And when you step outside of the mind into the real world, then you realize that life is completely different. Because I could live a life in here in my mind, and then I could also live reality in the moment with what I am doing here with you. And if I am in the moment with you, I don't have time to be in my mind. I can simultaneously do both. I just can't, maybe you can, but I can't be here and then here. So when you're here, present, this is all I'm thinking about, right? So if you ever have a negative thought in your mind, the first thing is to become conscious and aware of the fact that you can change it. That was a huge breakthrough for me because I realized that these negative thoughts brought on negative emotions, and the negative emotions brought on negative expressions of myself that I'm not too proud of. And the same thing can be the opposite way. So if we as humans are able to create hell on earth for ourselves, don't you think that we also have the power to create heaven on earth within ourselves with the power of positive thinking, right? I'm also a really huge fan of I Love Lucy, and I was actually watching Lucy's interview with Barbara Walters, and she mentioned how she really believes in Norman's theology. So she's a really huge fan of his approach to positive thinking. So Lucy's a fan. And that moves me into I've Been Thinking. I've Been Thinking. This is a book written by Maria Shriver, and she also has a companion journal, which is whenever I come out with my next book, I am also going to have a companion journal with it as well, guys. I love that idea. And I haven't really started working on that journal, but I have read through it. And I want to go inside here because talking about the power of positive thinking takes me into page 26 if you have this book. She quotes Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou said, "What you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. And if you can't change it, change the way that you think about it." Wow, right? So if you can't change what's happening in your life, you do have the power to change the way that you think about something. And I think this is something that happens way too often. We exert aggression and like a mean side of ourselves when we're driving because we'll like honk at people, we'll flip people over easily. That always blows my mind, how we are just so quick to react from a negative part of ourselves instead of approaching situations with love and being, okay, maybe this person I don't know, maybe this person that cut me off has an emergency. You're changing the way that you see things, right? You can't change the fact that that person cut you off because it already happened, but you can change the way that you see that situation, and you don't have to let outside circumstances, like somebody cut you off, bring out a side of you that you are not too proud of, you know? So taking control of our thoughts that lead to our actions is also very important, and why I absolutely love the study of the power of positive thinking, which is great. So that's a really great book. And then last but not least, another book, actually I have a few more that I'm reading. Another book that I'm reading today is by Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. This is a book that I started reading after I listened to one episode on Oprah's podcast. She has a full breakdown with Eckhart, breakdown of each and every single chapter in this book. So 10 total episodes for 10 chapters. Eckhart talks so much about the ego and how we use things to identify ourselves with. This is the beginning, Ego, the Current State of Humanity, in page 45. Eckhart wrote, "The ego tends to equate having with being. I have, therefore I am. And the more I have, the more that I am. The ego lives through comparison. How you are seen by others turns into how you see yourself." Isn't that crazy? It shouldn't be that way. We should not look to outside sources to validate our worth. We shouldn't look to anybody outside to tell us who we are, because nobody knows us like we know ourselves, and sometimes some of us don't even know ourselves just yet. That's fine, because we'll get there. So he also talks very deeply about the attachment to things, right? And he talked about also how, like, luxury brands, for example, a luxury brand like Gucci, we're just going to take Gucci for example, it doesn't really cost a lot of money to make their products, but they sell them very, very high. The price point is very high of all of these Gucci items and all of these other luxury brands, which means that if you're able to purchase anything from these luxury brands, it means that you are exclusive. So what I learned is that it plays into a part of ourselves that we feel like we are not good enough unless we have a $4,000 handbag or something super expensive, or we're draped in head to toe Gucci, and that somehow if we are in head to toe Gucci, for example, somehow we have more worth than the next person who can't afford it because you don't have Gucci on. You don't have this $3,000 shirt, this $4,000 bag, these Louis Vuittons, all of these expensive luxury items. Do not ever let yourself be defined by what you wear or what you own, because you are so much more than any of that. No amount of luxury designer items is ever going to add up to the worth that you have as an infinite being. So I unfortunately do not have time to get into the books that I currently want to read because I have to pick up my little guy from school, and then also this video is really long. I just feel like I had so much to say with all of these books. So just make sure to turn on the notification bell so you are notified of when I upload a new video and when I do the live chat, which is always super fun. So with that being said, have a blessed and beautiful day, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Higher.